All right, so let's talk about Weight Watchers, WW, whatever, and the green plan and running. And even I actually, the other hobby I forgot to talk about is using a planner and kind of making my own planner pages because I'm a super nerd. So kind of where this started. So here's like my background. So bottom line is I used to scrapbook a lot. I love scrapbooking. It's why I started Crafty Hobby House. I've taken all the videos down just to kind of protect myself because my name was on a lot of those things. But I started a long time ago, but in 2009, Becky Higgins' Project Life came out and I was in love with it and was doing a ton of stuff with Project Life. It was super fun. And, that was a time before I had kids. I was in grad school. I was doing lots of good stuff there. And then life just got busy, right? Like I graduated, we started having clinicals in grad school and that got really busy. And then after graduation, I started working and that was really busy. And so I work in an emergency department and we work really funky shifts. And I've pretty much, for the last 9 years, worked really funky shifts. And so we work nights, weekends, holidays. I flip back and forth between day shifts and night shifts. And so I legitimately have no routine. I just don't. You know how some people like really thrive on routine? I'm that person, but I don't have the routine to thrive on. So with that said, one of the problems that I have is trying to build habits. I'm really bad with habits. I do try, and I write myself lists and I do the things and I put it in my calendar and I'm just not good at sticking with habits. And it's like, I'm good at it to about 2 weeks and then not so much. So kind of my backstory from that standpoint is at some point I started Weight Watchers WW. I'm gonna call it WW. So I started it and then I started on what's now the green plan 2 or 3 years ago and did really well on that plan. I was really glad because I had done keto before that and did keto for like 10 months and keto and I just aren't friends, and I'll go into that in another video if wanted. But so I started WW, I did good with the green plan, and then they changed it. They changed it to what's now the blue plan. And so as a person who is on the go a lot, I'm in my car, I have a 2-hour commute to like an hour commute to work and an hour commute back. That's really hard for me to stick with what's now the blue plan, which is basically you get chicken free and eggs free and fruits and veggies are free. I can't remember the rest of it, but you kind of have a lot of room for wiggle room. And that's what became very difficult for me. It's all of my points would be salad dressing. It was I had nothing after that. I was wait, what? So I really struggled with that. I ended up just basically stopping. So I kind of haven't done anything. And then I started getting a little healthier, and then my gallbladder had to be taken out. And so I actually lost weight because I emergently had gallbladder surgery and didn't eat for 3 weeks. So that was great. What doesn't kill you makes you thinner. So that was nice. And then had kind of crept up a little bit. And so the beginning of 2020 in January, I was at a weight I was okay with, but I was still losing. I still have a lot to lose. And then March, I was starting to get into a groove of tracking again, and then the pandemic hit. And I don't want to make excuses, right? We're all accountable to ourselves. But that really kind of threw a wrench in things because I was eating a lot of things like rice and beans and the things we could find on the shelves, because at the time, suddenly we had no vegetables that were fresh. And so we trying to make do. And so that was a little stressful. And I think we should all give ourselves some grace there. And then my dad was hospitalized with COVID and intubated, and he nearly died. He rallied at the last minute, truly the last minute. 16 days on the vent really can change your life for whatever it is. So, and then when he went, he wasn't magically better the next day. It took a long time for him to rehab and get better. And then he had to have home health in the middle of a pandemic. Long story, we won't go there. Long story short, he was hospitalized for 35 days and I never could see him because it was a pandemic. So the long and short of it is that the thing I picked up out of that is that life is short. Life is short. You're only given one. He's diabetic, and that really contributed to his risk factors. And so I'm at high risk for being diabetic. And so kind of the combination of that, my son was diagnosed with a pediatric illness, something called juvenile idiopathic arthritis this summer. So dad almost dies in April, rallies and lives, but had a struggle there. July, my son gets diagnosed with this diagnosis that is chronic. It doesn't go away. He's on meds, he's on injections regularly, and he does fine. And when he was diagnosed, that was very hard for me, because I work in pediatrics. I know what that meant for him. But on the flip side, he actually has done really well with it. And so now it's kind of not no big deal, but it's one of those things that like you get a new normal and that's just what life is. And so it's now September and I'm like, okay, I'm really ready. I'm ready. I was ready in July, but I'm really ready to kind of get back in the game. And so in August, I realized I had gained 10 pounds from April to July. And I was not okay with that. April to August. And so I was not okay with that. And so I decided to make a pact with myself that in September, I was going to make some changes. And so one of the things I did was try to get myself organized. I felt very scattered and disorganized. And so getting myself organized, meaning having like a plan. And so the plan for me was that I needed to, I don't know if you know what SMART goals are, but SMART goals are attainable, SMA. Each letter in the acronym, I don't remember what all the acronyms are, but A is attainable. Like you have to be able to reach your goals. And so one of the things I wanted to make sure about September was that in September, whatever goal I set, I could reach, because if I couldn't reach it, it was going to make me deflated and I was not going to go through with the rest of it and I would give up. And so instead of making I wanted to move more and eat less. And that was it. That was my goal. And so when I started making the plan for that goal, I thought, okay, how do I move more? And so I wear an Apple Watch and I was like, okay, well, I can choose to say I'm going to exercise this many days a week, or say I'm going to run a mile a week or walk a mile a week, whatever. So I thought about it and I was like, some days I'm going to be able to do a mile. Some days I'm not going to be able to do a mile. Some days. So the goal I set was that I want to close my exercise ring, which for me is 30 minutes a day of brisk walking or more, as many days a week as possible. And so that gives me a little wiggle room for like night shifts and holidays and weekends and stuff. So I've done that for 3 weeks now because September's not quite over. It's the 27th of September. So September's not quite over yet. So I have done really well. And I should have probably pulled up my stats, but I thought it would be like 4 or 5 days a week average, but it's really like 5 or 6 days a week average. And actually the past 7 days, I didn't miss a day. So I've actually done really well. And it's a combination of like treadmill running and running. We live out in the country and I'm on a dirt road. And so the dirt road is a mile long. So it's a mile down and a mile back. So I usually, if I do that, I get 2 miles in, which is really good. So with that said, closing my exercise ring, that was it. That was my goal. And so if I can't run for whatever reason, raining or whatever, treadmill's inside, thankfully, but I knew I could still do some flexibility stuff. There were other things I could do. So that has been a really good goal for me. And I'm probably going to set that goal for October also, and maybe be a little more specific. I don't know. We'll see. So I met that goal. I'm sure I will meet that goal because it's the 27th. I only have a few more days left. So that was good. And then the eating less part, I wanted to find something that was sustainable. So like I said, I did keto, and keto was not sustainable. I did it for 10 months. I started losing my hair. I wasn't doing it right. I wasn't supplementing well. I felt like there was a lot of you have to calculate your macros sometimes, or people do lazy keto, but then I got confused with that. And I also found that I just wasn't sleeping well. My body needs a little bit of carbs. It doesn't have to be a lot, but a little bit of carbs to sleep at night. I was horribly sleep deprived because I just was sweating at night. It was weird. Keto and I were not friends. I probably did it wrong. I'm sure of that. But it's for me, it just wasn't sustainable. So, and then I lost a bunch of weight and then I gained it all back. So that doesn't work for me. So I needed something that I knew I could kind of stick to. And so Weight Watchers works for me when I could work the plan. And when I found out that the green plan was an option again, I was like, I'm so excited, because that's what worked for me really well. So in September, I started the first 2 weeks. My only goal was that I need to track, because I have done this enough times, not a lot, but enough times to know that tracking is hard. And that I would beat myself up after day 3 when I was like, oh, I went over my points. I didn't care about my points the first 2 weeks at all. It was just track. Just make sure you're tracking every day. And what I found was that sometimes I would try to meet my points for the day, and then I would go way over. Or I would eat breakfast and I was hungry all day long, and I don't think I ever really realized that, but anytime I eat breakfast, I used to sit down and have a whole bowl of cereal for breakfast, and then I would want a snack, and then I would want lunch, and then I want a snack between lunch, and then I would want dinner, because that's how my kids eat. That's how toddlers eat, and so I don't need to eat like that. I'm not a toddler. So I had bad habits, and it was making me hungrier. Like, I was always hungry when I ate cereal for breakfast, or even just eggs. It just always made me hungrier. And so I have found, since I started tracking those first 2 weeks, that honestly, if I just drink my coffee, I am usually good. I might have a protein shake for a snack, or I might, depending on what's going on in the morning. But I don't mind not eating breakfast. And then I don't eat really late. So I don't do quite intermittent fasting, but I certainly do, I'm okay with not eating a ton of food in the morning. And judge me, I don't care. That's what's worked for me so far. So the first 2 weeks was just track. All you have to do, even if you go way over points, track everything. And so getting back into the rhythm of tracking took about 2, maybe even 3 weeks. So if you don't know what WW looks like on the app, when you, and I probably should explain that, but I'm not great at explaining WW. The bottom line is that they assign points to foods. And so it's about 50 calories per point, and they kind of calculate it. But basically on the green plan, fruits and vegetables are free, or there are no points. And then everything else has some kind of point value to it. So an egg has 2 points. I get 33 points now a day. I was getting 34. And so, you can only eat so many eggs. So fruits and veggies are free. And then so the idea is that you use your points for things that are kind of calorically dense, treats, dressings, oils, fats especially. So a tablespoon, I think, of olive oil is probably maybe 3 points. Don't quote me. So those are the things that kind of I was focusing on. So it's just trying to stick with tracking and then kind of get an idea of what the value of points was for certain things, and that dressing is 15 points and this dressing is only 8 points, or this dressing is 4 points, maybe I should go with that one, and just trying to learn to make better choices based off of point values by tracking. And so by the 3rd week I kind of got into a groove, and so then and now I'm in the 4th week, and so I'm trying to really get an idea of my intake and trying to be mindful of the blue dot. And so the goal of the blue dot when you're on WW is to try to, stay within a parameter, a pretty healthy caloric intake essentially. So your points, I have 33 points given to me every day, and then 40 weeklies given, and you can use those weeklies whenever you want. And so the idea is that you're supposed to use the majority of those 33 points. So not eating all day is not ideal either. That's kind of not what you're supposed to do. So, because I could just eat fruits and veggies all day, I can't do that, but I could do that. And then I would have very high points left over, and you'd oh, that's great. Not really, because that makes you hungry. And then usually the next 2 or 3 days after that, I'm very hungry. And so I've done that. It doesn't work. At least it doesn't for me. So yeah, just kind of getting back into WW has been kind of good, right? Because I'm learning and remembering that oh yeah, you shouldn't eat 5 eggs a day because that will slow you down because you literally used a ton of your points for the day. But choosing chicken breast over red meat, or choosing to save all my points for the end of the day and just kind of eat definitely salads and stuff throughout the day, and just making better choices. Let's be honest. That's what it is. It's just making a better choice. So yeah, so it's been good. I've been enjoying it. I really like the app. I don't go to meetings or anything, but I really like the app. It's very easy. It's intuitive. I really like the Connect membership that they have on the WW app, because you can kind of share stories with other people, and you just kind of get to feel like you're in a community. It's very uplifting. It's very positive. And yeah, it's good. So that's me. I am married, have babies, and I need to lose some weight, and I started running, and I'm on WW Green Plan. And then also, the planner. So one of the other things I did to build healthy habits was I wanted to be very mindful and protective of my own mental health, because the stress of working in an ER during a pandemic and all the things that come along with that with my dad getting really sick. My husband also works in healthcare, and he works in an adult hospital. I work in pediatrics, and it has been very stressful there. And then my son getting diagnosed with something very serious, and then also homeschooling. Let me tell you, homeschooling, not my favorite. It's not real homeschooling. It's like e-learning, but not my favorite. All of that was really wearing heavily on my heart and my mind. And so I even started using the Headspace app, which is like meditation, but not in the like cartoony way of, I always think about meditation. It's like you can do it for like 3 minutes, and really it's just like a quiet your brain kind of thing. And so you just use the Headspace app and you click the button and the guy talks to you and you just listen, and it's just really calming. And so that may make me sound a little bit nuts or not. I actually really appreciate having a moment in the day where my mind is calmer. And so that's been really good. And part of that has been, so I wanted to try to reach a goal of like doing that regularly. That goal I haven't met as well, but I made a planner page just for myself every day that I check off. Like I tracked breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks. I drank my water. I did the Headspace app. I wanted to start writing on a regular basis, or at least tracking like inspirational quotes or something along those lines. So I have a little box for that, and also planning. So one of the habits I really want to build into my life is planning for the next day, so that I'm not like scrambling the first, like, what am I doing today? What's going on? Because my days are so different every day. And so that was the other thing. So I made a planner page for that. And so I'm kind of playing with making those. So anyway, that's my story. I just wanted to jump on here and say that this is who I am. This is where I'm at in my life. I may still do like cooking videos and gardening videos if I can ever get back to that. I also, as a PA, I have my own website from that standpoint, and so I'm very busy with that. And so I don't know that'll be on here all the time, but I just want to share my journey, and in a forum that's different than the Connect forum. I love sharing stuff on Connect, but I really feel like there are a lot of people out there looking for change in 2020, and I am damn sure I'm going to end this year on a good note, because the whole year has so far been really sucky. I could almost say the bad word, but really sucky. And I really would like it to not be sucky by December. So September so far, I'm down 9.8 pounds. That's basically what I gained during COVID. And so I can honestly say I'm back to where I started. And so now I get to keep losing, and that's exciting. That's like a big deal for me. So I'm going to keep losing. I'm going to keep running. I'm kind of picking up some things about running that I didn't realize, that there's a lot of things you can do while you're running on a treadmill. I always thought it was really boring, but it's no, you can focus on your pace. You can try to do some sprints. You can do a HIIT workout. You can kind of focus on one leg. There's a lot of different stuff you could do, and listening to different apps and watching YouTube videos. There's just a lot of stuff. So I'm not as bored as I used to be, which is really helpful, because I do hate running. I don't hop on the treadmill yay. I really hop on the treadmill I gotta do this, but I do it. And so I think that's important to share, because I don't think everybody understands that. I always thought people that ran all the time loved running. I don't love running. I just like being healthier. I feel like I've got more stamina when I run now. Now I can actually run a full mile and not completely die, which is really great. Because I couldn't have done that before. And maybe jog. Jog is probably a better word. I'm not full bore running. I'm still kind of jogging that mile, but it's better than when I started, which is I would jog lightly for a quarter mile, and then I would have to walk for the next quarter mile, then I would have to jog lightly the next quarter mile, then die and walk the rest of that mile and feel like I just died. I don't do that anymore. Now I can kind of jog that first mile, and then I kind of have to walk the rest of the mile and intermittently kind of sprint. So anyway, that's what I've been doing with that. I bought a bunch of I needed to buy more athletic clothes, because I didn't really have that much. And the COVID means you wear yoga pants all the time, but I needed pants with pockets in them. So I had to go buy those. I needed more socks, because we have a pandemic puppy and she's chewed holes through all my socks. So I just bought a bunch of stuff to go kind of keep me in gear, keep me motivated, keep me excited, and that's it. So hopefully this wasn't too boring. Hope you guys are well. If you are starting this journey as well, I would love to hear where you're at and how far you are. I started basically like the last weekend in August. So I'm going to just say like the first week of October or of September as my first week officially, because I started with like running, but then I kind of stopped and I really started tracking the first week of September. So if you're on the same journey with me, I'm so excited. Please share and like I want to know where people are at or how they're doing, because at the 3 or 4 week mark is where I like fall off the cliff, and I haven't done that yet. And I'm more motivated because I jumped on the scale today and I actually lost some weight. So that was like really motivating. So anyway, hope you guys are well. Bye.